And welcome back. In today's video, I'm going to share CoreLogic's latest housing market forecast through January of 2024. CoreLogic also announced there's 4 states in the US that have posted decreases in home prices compared to 1 year ago. Also, stay tuned toward the end of this video because they actually share the top 5 markets or top 5 cities in which home prices are going to decrease over the next 12 months. With that said, let's go ahead and dive right in, but also a big thanks to Ovou for sponsoring today's video and more on them later. And here's CoreLogic's housing market forecast. So CoreLogic has what's called their HPI or their home price index. And this report here is published on a monthly basis. And they look at a national, statewide, as well as the metro level regarding home prices in the US. According to CoreLogic, home prices nationwide have increased by 5.5% this January compared to last January. So year over year, home prices up by 5.5%. However, though, there's 3 main points I want to discuss with you guys because when you compare this to their previous forecast, which was published 1 month ago, they reported that home prices increased by 6.9%. That was December 2022 through December 2023. Therefore, this is a deceleration, my least favorite word in the housing market, but it's true. Home prices increasing compared to 1 month ago, but the growth rate has been decreasing. And number 2, Redfin recently reported just a couple of weeks ago that this February, home prices nationwide fell 1% year over year. The last time prices fell on an annual basis was way back in February of 2012. And number 3, on a national level, home prices are down by 9% ever since May of last year. But markets such as Austin, Texas have fallen 12% year over year and are now down a whopping 23% since last May. Also in Boise, Idaho, prices have decreased by 12% compared to 1 year ago and have declined by 19% from last spring. Before I share the latest housing market forecast through January of 2024, let's have a look at their previous forecasts. So for example, back in September 2022 through September of 2023, that was actually their first upward revision in their 12-month housing forecast. An increase of 3.9% was their forecast. Then in October 2022 through October 2023, they called for a 4.1% increase in home prices, and that was a second consecutive upward revision in their housing market forecast. In November through November 2023, their forecast was an increase of 2.8%, their first downward revision in the last 3 months. Then in December through December 2023, their housing market forecast was a 3% increase in home prices nationwide. Now enter January 2023 through January 2024, their new real estate market predictions is an increase of 3.1%. And this, by the way, is their 4th upward revision in the last 5 months. So from January 2023 to January 2024, their housing market forecast is an increase by 3.1% for home prices nationwide. However, though, on a month-to-month basis, January through February this year, they're calling for home prices to decrease by 0.1%. And on that bombshell, a big thanks to Ovou for sponsoring today's video. Ovou is a new smart business card that helps you build and nurture new connections. When meeting new people, simply tap your Ovou card to their phone. From there, they can directly save your contact information. There's also an easy function to get their contact details. Being a real estate agent for 10 years, I've given out hundreds and hundreds of paper business cards. And let's face it, the majority of those cards probably ended up in the trash. Rather than carrying around a bunch of paper business cards, set your introduction apart from others by using an Ovou Smart Card. The best part about this card is you can customize and edit your contact details and profile anytime. So if you're a real estate agent and you plan to host an open house, you can add a link to that listing directly onto your Ovou profile. Or if you're a loan officer, you can add a link to apply for a loan. Additionally, you can embed a video and add links to your social media. Click on the link in the video's description below or go to ovou.com and make sure to use coupon code JasonWalter to get 10% off your order and level up your networking. Thanks again for Ovou for sponsoring today's video, and let's get back to it. And getting back to CoreLogic's report here, it says US home prices continued their gradual free fall in January, only a 5.5% gain on a year-over-year basis, down for the 9th consecutive month and the lowest recorded since June of 2020. Therefore, this 5.5% increase in home prices from January 2022 through January of 2023 is the lowest increase going back to June of 2020. Deceleration was particularly noticeable in the western US and other states and metro areas that saw substantial appreciation over the past several years. According to CoreLogic's chief economist, she stated the following: while 2023 kicked off on a more optimistic note for the US housing market, recent mortgage rate volatility highlights how much uncertainty remains. Nevertheless, the continued shortage of houses for sale is likely to keep price declines modest, which are projected to top out at a 3% peak to trough. There's a couple things I want to mention regarding this, because when looking at inventory levels today versus the past couple of years, we have a lot more houses for sale. Approximately 60 to 70% more houses for sale right now compared to the past couple of years. However, though, historically speaking, we're still down compared to pre-COVID levels. That's number one. But number two is rate volatility, which is absolutely true, because look at this. As of today, which is the 13th of March, average rates for 30-year fixed, according to the Mortgage News Daily, for people with exceptional credit, of course, is at 6.57%, a decrease of 19 basis points compared to yesterday. Also, for a FHA or a VA loan, you're sitting at around 6.1% for average 30-year fixed. Look at this though, because over the past several days, let's just call it past 2 days, rates have decreased by 43 basis points, going from 7% that we saw on March 9th now to 6.57%. Now, obviously, a 43 basis point decrease in rates is very much significant, but compare this to rates over the past couple of years, we're still at very elevated levels. So for example, compared to 1 year ago, average rates were at 4.29%. This means that average rates have increased by 2.3 percentage points compared to 12 months ago. So going back to CoreLogic's report here, let's have a look at this, because their HPI, or their home price index, is now showing that Idaho, Montana, Washington, as well as Washington, D.C. saw annual decreases in home prices. So Idaho, Montana, Washington, D.C., as well as Washington are posted decreases in home prices compared to 1 year ago. In contrast, though, the states that had the biggest increases in their HPI were Florida, an increase of 13.4% compared to 1 year ago, Maine increasing by 11.5%, and South Carolina a gain of 10.7%. And speaking of that, here are the top 10 states that posted the biggest increases in home prices this January. Again, Florida led the nation, followed by Maine, South Carolina, and then Georgia, North Carolina, Vermont, New Jersey, Arkansas, Indiana, and Alabama rounding out the top 10. So all 10 of the top states have posted increases in home prices by more than 8% compared to 1 year ago. CoreLogic also provided this map as well. So this is something I found to be interesting. The western states actually posted the smallest increases in home prices compared to 1 year ago, as you can see right here. In contrast, though, the Sun Belt states, especially Florida as well as South Carolina, have posted the biggest increases in home prices, again by an increase of more than 10% in South Carolina as well as Florida. In contrast, in the West, they're seeing a less than 2% change in home prices. CoreLogic also provides some insights regarding home prices for these 10 markets. So Miami led the nation once again, an increase of 17.3% in home prices from January 2022 through January of 2023. Again, on a national level, they actually posted increases by 5.5%, but in Miami, well above the nation's averages. In contrast, though, look at LA, an increase of only 1.5%, Las Vegas, an increase of only 1.9%, Washington, D.C., a gain of 2.2%. San Diego, an increase of 2.6%, also a gain of 2.6% in Phoenix. Denver, Colorado, increase of 2.1%. Houston, Texas, a gain of almost 7%. Also in Chicago, the HPI increased by 4.5%, and Boston, Massachusetts, they saw a gain of 3.4%. CoreLogic also provided the top 5 markets in which they believe that home prices are going to decrease over the next 12 months. And leading the nation is actually in Bellingham, Washington, a very high probability, which is above a 70% probability of a price decline over the next 12 months. And number 2 spot was actually in Bremerton, Silverdale, Washington, also a very high probability. Actually, in fact, every single one of these metros is a very high probability. Number 3 is Crestview, Fort Walton Beach, and also Destin, Florida, which is on the northwest corner of Florida. Also a very high probability. Salem, Oregon at number 4 spot, and number 5, Tacoma, Washington, also with a very high probability that home prices are going to decrease over the next year. And with that said, again, a big thanks to Ovou for sponsoring today's video, and check out that link in the video description below, or go to ovou.com and use coupon code JasonWalter to get 10% off your order. Also, if you guys got any value out of this video whatsoever, then please hit the like button. I greatly appreciate that. Of course, I appreciate you. Hope you guys have an awesome day and look forward to seeing you on the next video.